Happy New Year, everyone. Did you have an amazing New Year's Eve? Did you go partying? Did you drink a lot of champagne? So I thought I'd put together a video on a theme that I think would be or is really appropriate for today. And I've got a list of champagne fragrances for you today. Fragrances that either feature champagne as a note, very sparkling effervescent and champagne-like fragrances, or they're not featuring the champagne note and they're going to be fragrances that act very fizzy, sparkly, and effervescent. So yes, it is 2026. It's January 1st. Happy New Year again. And before I get started with the list, I just want to say thank you to everyone that tuned in last year in 2025. And this is the start of the new year, 2026. I'm energized and totally ready to do more content for you guys. And also, I want to focus more on the deep dive themed videos, longer videos, guys. Please be ready. I know some of you don't like long videos, which in the future I will make announcements, but I have already decided on a separate shorts channel. So I've got it linked. Please go subscribe there. I will start posting content there next year, hopefully soon. But also, I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of a hint. I'll do a channel updates video sometime within the next couple of weeks as the month progresses. There's some big announcements that I want to make, but I'm waiting for the right moment. But I do want to also say there will be probably another addition to another channel as well. I'm actually going to be moving a lot of content off of this channel, and I'll explain all of the details later. But most importantly, right now, there is a shorts channel, and if you love shorts content, you can go there and follow that channel, and then when I start posting content there, you can watch the shorts videos. I believe they're very, you can post anything from 30 seconds on to 3 minutes, not 30 minutes, but 3 minutes, so 30 seconds to 30 minutes. And yeah, I'll be posting content elsewhere outside of this video. Outside of this channel. So you'll mostly find deep dive type content and lists and other videos like that. But some of the content that I've been airing here has not been resonating with followers and subscribers. And I'm seeing unsubscribes come in. So I'll have to move some of the content to another channel. I hate to do that, but I have to. But also I was advised, given bad information with my YouTube manager about shorts, and I was cranking them out, but I don't think it helped with the algorithm. So I've kind of got the channel back on track. I think people are really enjoying the deep dive content. There's over 6,000 bottles of perfume in this room, and you're going to see a lot more deep dive content. I don't have any travel plans anytime soon, not until the very beginning of April. Hopefully there's nothing coming up unless something does come up. So there's a lot of content to be had, but since I do these deep dive videos and it takes a long time to shoot the content, I don't think I'll be able to do any content like that while I'm out. So most likely I'll focus on the additional 2 channels that I'll be launching. So right now you can go and subscribe to the shorts channel, and later I will announce what the second channel will be, and some of the content from here will be moving over there. And yeah, just decisions that I made. But I'll do a big, long form channel updates video very soon, as soon as I can, announce my project that I'm working on, and we can go from there. Anyway, let's get started with the list of champagne fragrances. But before I do, just let me know if you have a favorite fragrance that features champagne, and add a comment below. So we're going to start off with a list of 8 fragrances, and these actually do feature a champagne note. And I think 3 that are going to be back-to-back are probably the most popular that feature the note. First of which is Atelier des Ors Pink Me Up. You guys familiar with this one? Let me know, add a comment below. So this is sparkling, effervescent, fruity, and it literally smells like champagne or sparkling wine with kind of like a rosé styling. So rosé meaning, well, I don't know. Let me know if you guys consume champagne or sparkling wine. I love it myself. And I kind of like it on the sweet side a little bit. I don't like it too dry, but I also kind of like fruitiness, which just gives me that kind of an experience. So it's more like a rosé sparkling wine, and it has that fruitiness, but it's very effervescent. It kind of hits your nose when you're smelling it. Sparkles, the fizz, you know, when you're just pouring it into a glass, and all that sparkle that kind of pops in the air is really, really prominent here with this one. So this is more fun and playful. The next two, which are actually more like one's the original and there's a flanker of it. Those to me do really smell like wine. This to me smells like a fruity wine, or maybe like a yellow or white champagne that's been meshed or mixed with like fruits in it. So the fruits are pretty prominent here with Atelier d'Azur Pink Me Up. I think Pink Me Up has become quite popular for the brand. I want to highlight it because it does feature champagne, and if you're looking for champagne, you're going to enjoy that one. Champagne and fragrances, I should say. The next is Liquid Imaginaire's Dame Rosa. So I've got Dame Rosa, the original, and Dame Rosa Millesime. So we'll talk about the original first. I'm kind of preferring the Millesime lately. It is stronger. Let's go over the first one first. So this to me actually smells like champagne. Like it literally smells like the grapes, the fermentation, you know, how the process of fermenting the grapes and how it turns to, you know, wine and champagne and things like that. So this literally to me smells like the stuff that you consume, you drink. But there is a slight fruitiness in here, and of course rose. And I forgot to mention there's also rose in Atelier d'Azur Pink Me Up. So you do pick up the rosiness, but literally it has that barrel aging fermentation kind of smell locked in this Liquid Imaginaire Dame Rosa. It's so good. Really, really realistic. If I had to choose between Atelier d'Azur Pink Me Up and Liquid Imaginaire Dame Rosa, it would be Dame Rosa because it's so freaking realistic. I love that about it. It's fizzy, it's sparkling, it's effervescent, it's fruity, it's rosy. Also, I wouldn't say it's boozy because, like I've always mentioned in videos, I find cognac, rum, whiskey to be boozy. Champagne, wine, it doesn't have that boozy characteristic, but it has its own signature kind of booziness, if that makes sense. So here you have that, and the fact that it reminds me of real wine or champagne, it smells like it, you actually really are experiencing that wine or champagne booziness in here. So good. So that's Dame Rosa, the original. Now we've got Dame Rosa Millesime. So if you guys don't know who the perfumer here is, it's Sonia Constant. She's known for several fragrances, several very popular fragrances for Tom Ford. Most importantly, Ombre Nomade, and then Noir Extreme, and the Parfum editions of both of those fragrances. So she's a perfumer at Givaudan, and she also has her own fragrance collection called LK. So she solely does all the fragrances for LK, and she does fragrances, you know, for Narciso Rodriguez, for him, all of this stuff she's done. Like she's done quite a few fragrances. But for me, I consider this like the Dame Rosa from Liquid Imaginaire to be some of the best as far as realistic champagne or wine smelling fragrances. And the Dame Rosa Millesime also gets deeper and more dense, a bit darker. I think the fizziness is not as fizzy, but I mean, there's a sparkle there, but because it's gotten denser, it's kind of removed a little bit. And then the fact that the original is an eau de parfum, not as concentrated with the perfume oils, it does act a little more airier, and that kind of creates its fizziness. But still, don't think that it doesn't have it. It does have it here as well. It's just a more thicker, denser, and I love this. It smells so good. And I like how they've combined the fruitiness and the rosiness all together to create this kind of real grapes fermenting smell in this fragrance. So original, so realistic. If you're ever looking for a fragrance that smells like champagne, the Dom Rosa, both Millesime and the original, are, I think, hands down, some of the best ever. So if you are in the market for something like that, I highly recommend you get them, one of these two fragrances, because it's really realistic. So let's move on to the House of XERJOFF. We also have two from the House of XERJOFF back to back. So Louis 15, 17, 22 for the guys, and Louis 15, 17, 22 for the lady. Although I don't think these are sex specific, but I feel, well, are they targeted specifically for the sexes? I can't remember now. But for me, the original, even though they don't really use that champagne note, there is a sparkling effervescence here. That's what I like about it. It's also like a very modern fougere. Oh my God, it's good. It's so good. It's definitely one of my favorite XERJOFFs in a long time. I absolutely love it. It's got that sparkle, but it's got that fougere barbershop-y style in there as well. Ah, man, it's so good. So good. It's creamy, smooth as well. I really think it's one of the best that XERJOFF has done. And I'm typically into fougere fragrances anyway. I love them. I think fougeres are some of my favorite styles because I grew up with them. My dad wore quite a bit of them. So I kind of connect with those kind of fragrances instantly. And here, the lavender is so realistic. You can actually smell the greenness in addition to its signature smell, plus the effervescence, then the creamy woods in there. So magical. One of the best from XERJOFF in a long time. I know it's expensive, but it's awesome. It's really super delicious. And it's very festive and celebratory. So that's Louis 15, 17, 22, the original. And the new one is the Rosé. So it's Louis 15, 17, 22 Rosé. And this is, it's fizzy for sure. This is more like a rosé champagne. The rose is pretty prominent. It has a lot of sparkle. It's quite fizzy. And of course, it's juicy. There's a slight greenness here as well. But if I'm gonna say which one smells like the most realistic champagne or wine, I would still say it's Liquid Imaginaire, hands down, even more than the Pink Me Up. This one to me is a bit more like Pink Me Up in that it's fruity, but it's also very rosy. And of course the effervescence, but I think it's highlighting the fruits and the rose more here. Well, it does get wine-like. It does smell like wine, but I think the rose and the fruits come through a bit more. And then as it's settling, you start picking up a wine experience. For me also, the rosé is a bit more wine-like in comparison to the original. These bottles are very wobbly. I don't want to drop any of them. But the original to me doesn't have as much of a sparkle fizz presence as the rosé does. But whatever amount it has, it's so awesome. Really great. All right, so next we're going to the House of Prode. God, I'm dropping things. This collection of fragrances is the wobbliest. So I got to be careful. I don't move anything. Otherwise, it's going to tip over and fall off the table. All right, so this is Prode's The Taste of Champagne on Her Lip. You guys familiar with this one? Prode is a Thai house. In fact, one of their fragrances in the same collection of boozy or liquor-themed fragrances is called Blue Whiskey on the Rock in an old-fashioned glass. That is in one of our kits, by the way. If you haven't checked that out, please do. This is the champagne fragrance. This is created by Khalees Becker from Givaudan. And the one we featured, Blue Whiskey on the Rock in an old-fashioned glass, is created by... God, I don't know why I always forget his name. He passed away. He's a perfumer. He did... Anyway, it'll come to me. But here, it's very sparkling and effervescent, light hints of something rosy. But this is more about the like, it's literally smelling like champagne, but the rose smell doesn't come through too much until it just pops right through. And there's rose in here for sure, but it's not acting very jammy, but it's kind of like behind the scenes, and it makes a present, and it reveals its face like once you're like really digging into the smell. But for me, it's juicy, it's fizzy and sparkling and effervescent, and just the kind of fragrance I like. It maybe might come off a bit simplistic, but I really enjoy what I'm smelling here. The House of Prode makes some really awesome fragrances. If you haven't tried them, I think this is awesome. And the rose is coming through. The more I smell it, the more rose it develops. And I like that about it. And I like the name too, The Taste of Champagne on Her Lip. They also, remember I said the blue whiskey on the rock in an old-fashioned glass, which is also a fun name, which is kind of like playing off of the old-fashioned cocktail. But this is good. Prode's the Taste of Champagne on Her Lip. Let me know if you're familiar with it. The fact that they made the word champagne pink just kind of tells you that there is a rosiness there. And that rose, the more it developed, the more I got the rose, as I said. It doesn't smell like the rose in any of the previous fragrances. It's a different kind of rose. I'm going to pause the video and come back and let you know the name of the perfumer for the other fragrance. One sec. All right, his name is Olivier Pechot. He's done Herod for Parfums de Marly, Divine Vanille for Essential Parfums, and many diptyque fragrances. So there's a fragrance from Prode called Blue Whiskey on the Rock in an Old-Fashioned Glass, which was recently featured in one of our Scent Club kits. And he created that fragrance, which is more like a real boozy fragrance. So it's whiskey focused. And I was saying, I consider whiskey, cognac, rum to be more boozy in comparison to champagne, but there's certainly its unique champagne-like booziness with anything like wine or champagne. But let's move on to Maison Margiela's On a Date. Let me know if you're familiar with On a Date. So I actually really enjoyed this one. I think it's Olivier Cresp. No, maybe it's Carlos Benayem. This to me is very effervescent, super effervescent, and also very rosy. And I think also it's a bit chypre-like. So I think there's definitely the idea of something chypre as in style of fragrance, very modern. So I think there's rose in here for sure. And then there's patchouli, earthy notes, maybe like mossy notes in the base. But up top is quite fizzy and effervescent, and it does definitely give you that kind of sparkle. Like, it screams champagne for sure. Maison Margiela does make some great fragrances, and some of them are duds as well. I think their most popular might still be By the Fireplace. I think this is pretty solid, but the fact that maybe it's a bit too chypre-like might be maybe a bit classic-leaning. But I quite like chypre fragrances. It's a very modern chypre. So, On a Date from the house of Maison Margiela. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Up next, we're going to a house that you might not be familiar with, but this is from the house of Jupilo, and this is Blanc de Prestige. Let me know if you're familiar with this one. This, to me, acts more like a non-rosé champagne. It doesn't have a rosiness. It's more powdery. To me, it also smells like pear. Maybe giving you the idea of something like a Bellini. But super effervescent. I feel like there might be some aldehydic notes in here. It's quite musky, but super fizzy and very familiar. I'm reminded of pears here. I don't know why. It definitely has like, maybe like you are drinking champagne and you've got like some pear juice in it. Is there a name for that? Bellinis are usually peach. There's also Kir Royale, which is made with Kir. But I think there might be like a cocktail made with pear juice and champagne. If you guys know, let me know. Add a comment below. But that's what this is reminding me of. Like a pear fizzy cocktail. Super powdery and very festive. And let me know if you know Blanc de Prestige from the house of Jupilo. We actually featured Sugar Rum, one of their fragrances, in our several mystery boxes ago. So Sugar Rum is also good. I think that's a pretty solid house. They make some great fragrances. They also have a really great fig fragrance. Let me know if you're familiar with this house. It's an Italian house. All right, so we've got another section, and this section I would call it a bit more like a champagne glow. So lots of woods and musks to create the champagne-like effect. And I've got 3 fragrances in this mix. The first of which is from the house of Moresque. It's Alma Pure. Let me know if you're familiar with this house. I believe this house is connected to THOO. They also have another brand called New Notes and a few other brands, I think. So here we have something quite woody and effervescent. But for sure, the champagne fizziness is there. But it's nicely mixed with creamy woods. Lacquered woods. It's the kind of experience I'm getting with this one. It's not one that I'm too familiar with, but I had it here. I have a video on the channel of this house, and this fragrance is featured in there. And there might be like a slight fruitiness in here as well. A little bit like pear-like, but not as pear-like as Blanc de Prestige. Isn't that a wine-derived name? Is there something like called Blanc de Blanc in the world of wines and champagnes? If anybody knows, let me know. But going back to Alma Pure, it's quite woody. It's a very creamy lacquered wood effect with the fizziness and the sparkling effervescence of the champagne accord that's in here. So that is Alma Pure from the house of Moresque. Add a comment below if you've tried it. Then we've got Plume Impressions Art Nouveau. Plume Impression is a pretty solid house. I've actually featured a few fragrances of theirs in either mystery boxes or our regular kit, because we have Murmure d'été in our kit number 16 currently. A great fig fragrance created by Quentin Biche. So this to me is a very clean, sparkling effervescence. Once again, super creamy, but also a bit laundry-like. There's definitely very, very clean effect happening here. But you've definitely experienced the fizz, the sparkles. I almost feel like there's aldehydic touches here. Aldehydic touches can create, or aldehydic notes can create a fizziness, an effervescence, and also clean. Like they're super clean laundry. Like this is giving me a very laundry-like effect. It's giving me champagne sheen vibes. It's quite luminous, very elegant, but super soapy and clean. Art Nouveau, a great era I love. Art Nouveau and Art Deco. Some of my favorite artwork comes from there. So this is inspired by that era, supposedly. Art Nouveau from Plume Impression. Let me know if you're familiar with that. And this section ends with Santal by Headspace. Super creamy woody and also very, very champagne-like. Created by fruity notes. They're not using champagne here. But honestly, this to me smells like there's real wine or champagne in here. You do pick up that fizzy, sparkling, effervescent, and also the reminder of like the real barrel aging of the grapes and fermenting. So it's creamy. The sandalwood is the creamy variety here. And not that I'm saying they're oak barrels usually. They're like sandalwood or, cedar. But this gives me a super smooth cedar and sparkling effervescence with the fruits that they're using in here to create that fizzy champagne-like accord. This one's really good. It's definitely one of my favorites from Headspace. Recently, I did a video on the line. If you haven't caught my video, please go catch it. There's 2 in that video that are created by Julien Rasquinet. This is also a Julien Rasquinet creation. And yeah, go check that out. And you can learn more about 5 other Headspace fragrances. But for me, Santal is definitely tops, one of my favorites from the house, because it's kind of an unusual idea of combining champagne accord with creamy sandalwoody notes, but it really works. I mean, when I first discovered the brand, I discovered them at Essence. They had just debuted in 2022, and I smelled this and I was like, wow, this is really, really great. And finally, I get to talk about it here. Santal from Headspace. All right, here's where things get really, really fruity. So it's either fragrances using or utilizing the notes of champagne, or fragrances acting very fizzy and effervescent like champagne, and the utilization of a lot of fruits. So the first fragrance we're going to talk about is Guilty Crush from the house of 2. It's going to focus. I guess not. Oh well, here it is. So this was actually a fragrance we featured in Mystery Box a couple of mystery boxes ago. This is a very fruity fragrance. It features cherries and strawberries, and it's quite powdery. There's definitely a very candy-like effect in here, and it's got a creamy base as well. Like, it comes off almost doughy, but it's super candied, very, very fruity, and totally effervescent. It's on the sweet side as well. I would say this is super gourmand. Unlike some of the previous fragrances were not necessarily gourmand, even though they kind of had some gourmand touches added to them. But this definitely is one of the most gourmand fragrances that I have on the list here today. And if you like a fizzy, champagne-y kind of fragrance, sparkling, effervescent, fizzy, and you like the idea of cherries and strawberries, then Guilty Crush is one for you to try. Then we've got Mind Games Checkmate. Are you familiar with this one? This one has a super fruity red currant feature, red currants. This is also quite patchouli forward, and I love that about it. It's super sexy. I like the addition of the fizziness of the champagne with the red currants, and the idea of a chypre in the base, like mossy, earthy, woody. There's a little bit of a rosiness that pops in as well. This one's super, super sexy, I have to say. And it's been a while since I've put my nose on this. It's aged really, really nicely. It does hint a little bit at something like Portrait of a Lady, but it's not super rosy, but there is rose featured here. But what I like about it is that effervescence up top, the fruitiness of the red currants, the rosiness, and then of course the super intense earthy woodiness in the base, which is also kind of giving me like a mossy effect. So that's Checkmate from Mind Games. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Next, we've got a fragrance from the house of Anfas. It's Aya. I don't know what's going on with my focus, but it's not focusing. So Aya is super champagne-like, but loads of red fruits in here, including cherries and pomegranates. It's so super fruity, and also very, very champagne or wine boozy. Like, that is so intense. So it does have an effervescence, but I think they've amplified whatever champagne booziness I get from like what you smell in Santal or Dom Rosa. They've really, really intensified that effect here. And they've also intensified the fruitiness. It settles down to more of a gourmand effect. But if you like the idea of that like champagne wine booziness, I think definitely one you should try. Super, super boozy that way. I guess I didn't show it to you that that way. This is got a great little label on the front, the beautiful red label. Let me know if you guys are familiar with this house, Anfas. It's Aya. Then we've got a fragrance from the House of Lark called Calda. This is lychee fruit, strawberries, super fizzy. Just imagine pouring this crisp champagne in a flute glass and then, dropping a, strawberry in there and maybe a lychee. And, it'll start fizzing even further and then, sipping on it. This one comes off super crisp, like literally like crisp and also green. Like I feel like there's some green herbal notes in there somewhere, but it's crisp. Like if you've ever, had any like super dry, crisp champagne, super chilled, like really, really cold, and you put it to your mouth for the first time, you get that kind of puckery feeling in the mouth. You get that from this because it can come off quite tart, champagne or white wines and things like that. So this is super original that way. There's definitely a tartness, a crispness, maybe a slight metallic touch. It's cold, and it's like acting like a really chilled champagne that you just pulled out and you just pop the cork and you poured it and you drop a couple of fruits in there, strawberries and lychees, started drinking. I like that. So that's Calda from the House of Lark. Let me know if you're familiar with that one. All right, now we're getting into the gourmand party vibes of the section of fragrances. And I've got two fragrances from the House of Gallagher Perfumes, or Gallagher Fragrances, I should say, that were part of their Pearlescent collection, but they have now redone. I think it was a separate brand called Pearlescent Parfums, and I think now they've combined them with Gallagher Fragrances as a collection. So we've got Tonka Azur and Tonka Peach, both with champagne notes. First off, it's Pearlescent Parfums, the Tonka Azur. Let me know if you guys are familiar with this collection. So this is focusing, both of them are focusing on Tonka with the addition of a fizzy champagne note. So there is a slight gourmand adjacent quality here because Tonka can go that way. But I wouldn't say this is as gourmand as Guilty Crush. No way. Not at all. But it's very fizzy, it's very effervescent, slightly fruity, and of course you've got that Tonka, which comes in like bitter, a bit almondy, but the cool crispness of the champagne accord is really nicely balancing it out with the warmth of the Tonka beans. Really nicely done fragrance. I'd forgotten about this, and I think it's quite nice for a Tonka. I think it's time to do a Tonka deep dive. What do you guys think? I'll add it to the list, but I really like the way that smells. Tonka Azur. At first, when I saw this fragrance, I thought the word azur is it going into like a marine direction? It doesn't, thankfully. But the next fragrance, also from the same house, Tonka Peach. So this one I think is going to be a lot more fruity because they've got the peach in there as a, in the title of the name of the fragrance. It's kind of similar, but with that fuzzy peachiness that the trademark peachy smell has. I would think this is a bit more like a peach Bellini. It's fizzy, it's sparkling. Have you guys ever had peach Bellinis? They're pretty fun. It's almost like the sparkle crispness of the champagne and the creamy smoothness of the peach juice balance it out. It's really yummy. And that's what this acts like. Super smooth and creamy for the peach in here. So that is Tonka Peach from the House of Gallagher Fragrances. I've got to not feature this. I have to feature it is what I'm trying to say. This to me doesn't feature any champagne, but it acts like a champagne cocktail. So this is Goldfield & Banks Sunset Hour. I mean, the first time I put my nose on this, I thought I was sipping a very fizzy cocktail at a very breezy hotel, super sexy hotel, like on the beach, not super hot outside, but still warm, but still breezy, and sipping on this, sexy cocktail and seeing the view and the sunset hour. That's what I get from this one. It's very, very sparkling and effervescent. And it's fruity, of course. There's fruity notes in this. But beneath it all, it does get creamy. Like the sparkles, I don't consider creamy. But this eventually gets creamy when it's drying down. It's also good to layer with Pacific Rock Moss from Goldfield and Banks. But on its own, it's very airy, light, ethereal. I just think of the drapes blowing in the, the wind, and just, you can see the visual. I don't know what. Some fragrances create a visual for me, like very vividly, and that one does. So that's Sunset Hour from the House of Goldfield and Banks. And then last but not least, I've got 3 fragrances that were part of their own collection. They didn't fit into any of these categories, but they're definitely featuring either fizzy champagne notes or just kind of oddballs that didn't fall into any categories. This next one is from the House of Keali. It's the Wedding Silk Santal 36. This is super awesome. Really love it. It's part of the Sandalwood Wedding Collection. Both of them are really awesome. This one has super musky notes and also sandalwoody touches, but it creates this very festive, sparkling effervescent that is super sexy. It also has a very creamy layer under it too, which I find mixed with that sparkliness, the fizziness, it's a great connection. But it's super awesome if you haven't tried this. For some reason, I was on a website. It said it was discontinued. I looked it up. It's not. I think it was Wiki Parfum that said this was discontinued. But it's so delicious. It's almost as good as their Musk. But this is really nicely done. The wedding collection, both of the male and the female one, are really, really awesome. I love their Musk as well. Some of their ouds are really great, but this one smells super, super awesome. So check that out, the Wedding Silk Santal. This next one, I think it's this one here. I have to mention this next one because it's definitely about champagne. It's from the House of Currant. I don't even know if they make it still, but this is Lavender Currant. It comes in a champagne bottle like thing, and this is the box for it. I left it out so I can show it to you guys. Who's familiar with this? This is created by Ernest Daldroff. I believe that's his name. But it's not a spray bottle. It's a splash bottle. Am I going to be able to let you know about it? Probably not. I can't take that off right now. But to me, it's floral. It's got lilac. It's woody. Definitely there's a sparkly effect happening, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to check it out for you guys. But really, a fragrance that's been around for so long. One of the original fragrances from Currant, Lavender Currant. Check it out. It's actually also really cool to just have a bottle like this. I bought this like 4 or 5 years ago. And just as a collector, I have a smaller bottle of it as well, I think, which I've stored away somewhere. But definitely something to have on hand. And last but not least, this is the fragrance I'm going to end the video with. This is one of my very first champagne fragrances. I kind of don't consider it a fragrance about champagne, but it does feature a pretty prominent note of champagne. I'm talking about Parfum d'Empier's Ombre Rousse. Let me know if you're familiar with this one. This to me is more amber, obviously. And it also has, it's champagne. There is another boozy note in here, and I'm forgetting what it is now. But to me, it's acting quite fruity. It's very, very warm, spicy. I think it has vodka. That's the other note it has. So both of these, vodka, and because it's called Ombre Rousse and, Russia and vodka, it doesn't come off super boozy like I was explaining earlier. For me, the most prominent boozy notes are whiskey, cognac, and rum. This is vodka. This is champagne, and it has its own unique booziness, but I wouldn't say it's the most boozy. But here it's acting quite boozy and also very fruity. Imagine fermented fruits macerated in some kind of a booze. It acts a bit tea-like as well, but dried fruits macerating in like some kind of an alcohol, but overdosed with a lot of amber. That's what I get with this one. It's really super awesome. One of my very early amber fragrance loves, going back like 13, 14 years ago, and definitely still my favorite from the house. I really love that. Anyway, Ambre Rousse is going to end this list of champagne fragrances. Let me know your thoughts on these fragrances, guys. If there a champagne fragrance that you have that I did not talk about, let me know what it is so I can add it to the list to check it out. Do you like any of these fragrances? Do you own any of them? Do you wear them? Do let me know that as well. And once again, Happy New Year to everyone. Stay tuned for a lot of great deep dive content on the channel. And again, some changes coming up and some big announcements as well. So I hope you guys stick around. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do click the subscribe button, also the bell icon, so you'll be notified for future videos. Please like this video. Also give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to my shorts channel if you do enjoy shorts content. See you guys later. Bye-bye.